Live from downtown Bakersfield, 23 ABC News at 5 starts now.
Good evening. We start with new video released by the Kern County Sheriff's Office. We are getting a look at harrowing body cam footage as deputies work to rescue a couple in East Bakersfield.
Do you have any other dogs? I'm going to push you, okay? Just hold on, okay?
Two deputies assisted an elderly couple fleeing a house fire on Montecito Drive near Oswell Street last month. The deputies arrived on scene to find the house fully engulfed in flames. Deputies found an elderly woman in a wheelchair holding a dog just outside of the home next to the front door. They helped move her and the dog to safety and then went back toward the home and into the backyard to find an elderly man officials say appeared disoriented and escorted him to safety. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. We're going to have more on this video and that rescue coming up tonight on 23 ABC News at 6. This weekend will mark 6 months since the communities of Trona and Ridgecrest were rocked by not one but two powerful earthquakes. The first happening on July 4th, the second just a day later. 23 ABC's Bayan Wang gives us a recap of what happened those summer days.
It was supposed to be a day full of festivities to celebrate our nation's independence. But in Ridgecrest, the community was rocked by a 6.4 quake that surfaced on the 4th of July.
Get under the table. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
The Ridgecrest community in shock. Officials say that
moments ago, our community members right here in downtown Bakersfield feeling that 6.4 magnitude earthquake.
When the car started swaying back and forth, and
Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency that evening, but a bigger crisis broke through Earth's surface just 24 hours later, crippling the small town. The twin quakes would be the biggest to hit California in 2 decades. Seismologists say the 7.1 tremor that struck on July 5th was 10 times stronger than the 6.4 foreshock the day before. It was felt by approximately 30 million people in California, Arizona, Nevada, and Mexico. Flames turned structures into infernos. The quake leveling an entire theater inside a cinema.
The roof is the roof caved in on it.
People are incredibly lucky that the theaters were closed and that nobody was inside.
You know, it means a lot. This is the only theater that's here. We've already had
Naval Air Weapons Station China Lake, a massive military facility in the Mojave Desert, reported more than $5 billion worth of damage. The historic earthquakes prompting state, local, and federal officials to meet in the small town of Trona in San Bernardino County, a community battered by the quakes about 20 miles from Ridgecrest.
We need water in this town. They just said there's water hooked up, but I don't have water to my house.
I haven't had water since Friday. We want answers and we can't get them.
Trona's water tanks were destroyed, gas and power were unattainable, and resources were not immediate.
This happened on a holiday weekend, and to get resources, it was very difficult.
In the days following, President Trump approved an emergency declaration to send federal aid to towns affected by the twin quakes. Since then, thousands of aftershocks have occurred in Ridgecrest. Seismologists, geologists, and a band of various researchers studying the phenomena as a long-awaited big one lies beneath California's surface.
Those time frames, it's aftershock. An aftershock. You're okay.
In Bakersfield, Bayan Wang, 23 ABC connecting you.
And we will be airing a 23 ABC special edition newscast as we talk with residents in Ridgecrest and Trona, hear from seismology experts, and talk to Bakersfield officials about if we are prepared here. Join us for that 23 ABC special, which is set to air this Sunday during our 6 p.m. newscast. And coming up tonight on 23 ABC News at 6, we hear from Ridgecrest residents as they continue to rebuild from those fateful days. A 4.0 magnitude earthquake struck Ventura County overnight. That's according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The USGS says it occurred just after 2 a.m. and the epicenter was just south of Port Hueneme. There were no reports of injuries or major damage by the quake. People from West Hollywood, Southgate, and Marina del Rey reported feeling the tremor. New details are emerging from the ongoing case of Jagmeet Sandhu, who has been charged for allegedly holding his pregnant ex-girlfriend at gunpoint for hours and forcing her to take pills in order to induce a miscarriage. 23 ABC's Leslie Gooden joins us in studio with new details just revealed. Leslie?
Good evening. The Kern County Court has released new documents that sheds light on the two possible motives for the attack. BPD states that cultural differences, including religion and race, might have played a role in the fetus's death. Sandhu wanted to protect his future financial interests as well. Today, we spoke with several organizations that offer resources for individuals who find themselves in threatening situations.
On December 10th of 2019, Jagmeet Sandhu entered his ex-girlfriend's apartment and forced her at gunpoint to ingest several pills to induce a miscarriage. According to new documents, race and cultural differences contributed in Sandhu's actions against his ex-girlfriend. The documents state that Sandhu said, quote, his family would disown him for having a child with a non-Indian female, and their cultural differences would not allow them to marry. Bakersfield detectives say it was Sandhu's desire to remain in good standing with his Indian family, community, and protect his financial interests, which were both motives to induce the miscarriage. According to the victim, Sandhu told her that he'd been kicked out of his family and forced out of their home once they found out she was pregnant. A police search warrant for Sandhu's phone revealed a text message sent to the victim reading, quote, my family's going to hate you. This is not the way to integrate into my family. They're just going to think you trapped me, even though that's far from the case. I don't want them to hate you. I don't want our relationship to face that challenge on top of everything else we will be facing. It'll be too much at once, and our relationship will suffer. Also, several searches were found in Sandhu's phone history. Abortion pills via Reddit and a search for, quote, medication abortion take home /FDA. And an image was found, but at the bottom it read, titled, honor kill. We spoke to local agencies who try and help with these types of situations.
We realize that in each situation there might be faith decisions, faith traditions that need to be taken into account. But the number one thing is, what does she want in this relationship and in this pregnancy? And how can we help her? And how can we help him?
The victim states that Sandhu did not show threatening tendencies during their 10-month relationship prior to her becoming pregnant. And it wasn't until she attended Sandhu's graduation from California State University when she tried to approach Sandhu's parents, but were stopped by Sandhu's sister, who shared that they were not welcome to meet the family because their parents disapproved of the victim not being from the Indian community. The district attorney's office, who is handling the case, says they want to remind the community additional resources available to them if they find themselves in a threatening situation. One resource is the Family Justice Center that has created an additional hotline at 1-888-712-4143 for Punjabi-speaking individuals in need of assistance in legal issues, family issues, victims of crime, and more.
You can call and leave a voicemail message on this confidential service, and a speaker of Punjabi will call you back and work through these issues. Now, this resource is not just for women, and in fact, some of the first callers were men from the Punjabi communities.
Again, if you or know someone who's beloved to be in a potential threatening relationship, be sure to reach out to these numbers from the Family Justice Center at 1-800-273-7713. And for the Punjabi hotline, that is 1-888-712-4143. For now, Studio Leslie Gooden, 23 ABC News, connecting you.
All right, Leslie, thanks. A teen is behind bars after he allegedly fired off more than 36 gunshots on New Year's Eve. According to Bakersfield police, there were several ShotSpotter activations Tuesday night over about an hour-and-a-half period in the area of 3rd and V Streets. Police say there were more than 35 shots fired in that time frame. While doing a follow-up investigation yesterday night, police found expended cartridge casings in the backyard of a home in the area. They later found these two handguns and arrested 18-year-old Ramon Toro. He now faces a charge of reckless discharge of a gun. He's set to be in court tomorrow. The CHP releasing its statewide results from the 2020 New Year's maximum enforcement period. Officers made 491 arrests for DUI statewide during their 30-hour enforcement period. Last year, more than 1,100 arrests were made statewide, but the CHP's New Year's enforcement period was 3 times longer. During enforcement periods, all available officers are on roads cracking down on impaired drivers.
As we head into the new year, the National Weather Service has put out their December 2019 climate report, and that says that Bakersfield had the 8th warmest December on record. So the monthly temperature was just shy of 5 degrees above the average, and the total rainfall was 1.52 inches. That is a half of an inch up from average. So definitely warm, and we did see those wet conditions. But as of right now, we're looking at a relatively dry start to 2020. But what we are tracking is some reduced visibility, some low-hanging clouds, especially in the Tehachapi Mountains and in the foothills. But as we head into the early morning hours tomorrow, we have the potential to see that reduced visibility here in the valley. So we are tracking a wind advisory that begins late tonight until 11 in the morning tomorrow. And this could be the case yet again on Saturday, but we are tracking warming temperatures. Just how warm we will get this weekend is coming up next.
You have a chance to give your input on how homelessness may be affecting your community during another outreach meeting. In less than a week, the city will be hosting a meeting to talk about that issue. The third community outreach meeting will be held next Tuesday at the Mechanics Bank Convention Center at 6 p.m. The public is invited to attend. This comes after 2 previous community meetings that were held last month. The county is gearing up to hold its annual homeless population census, known as the point-in-time count. It's scheduled for January 24th from 3:30 to 10:30 a.m. The goal is to find trends within the county homeless population in hopes of reducing the number of people living on the streets, in cars, under bridges, or anywhere else unsheltered. If you'd like to get involved, you can volunteer for the Count with the Homeless Collaborative. Volunteers must be 18 or over and can register online at endkernhomeless.org. We have a traffic alert for you. An around-the-clock closure is set to begin this weekend for 24th Street and I Street in downtown Bakersfield. The closure will start at 6 Saturday morning and run until 5 p.m. Sunday. Westbound motorists will be detoured north onto Chester Avenue to 28th Street and will return to 24th Street through 8th Street. Officials say this work is not expected to impact eastbound traffic on 23rd Street. The closure is due to drainage work across the road.